There's basically two kinds of nematodes. One nematode is good, which I'm not going to talk about really, but the other one attacks our root systems. And to take care of them, to knock them back and keep them knocked back, marigolds are one of the best ones. They also attract birds to your garden. So I highly recommend putting marigolds all through your gardens. Any questions about marigolds, or is there anything you guys want to add to that?
Maybe how you propagate them. I'll go to the seed head. Pull the seed head out. They're all marigold seeds. Oh, yeah. Whoa, good?
Yeah, okay.
You see there all the seeds, the marigolds. These were the propagate them, so you can see that.
Yeah, that's what we did. Yeah, just spread them around. Didn't plant any of these. They just went. All
Started from stock back in our zone 1, and as they grew and seeded, we just keep spreading them out to outer zones. But the flowers are edible. You can put them in your salads, and they're antibacterial, antifungal, I believe. So you can infuse them in oil and use them on your skin for cuts, sort of skin rashes and.
Is it the same as
calendula?
Yeah.
And then they also
So amazing
repel
skin
insects,
healing.
non-beneficial insects, or do they attract various insects or something?
We've done a bit of research on how effective they are as a companion plant, and I think they are kind of overrated as a beneficial chemical companion. I think they're more just they're good for the colour and the smells in the garden.
Bees pollinating, covering the space to prevent other plants from growing. If you want to create a living mulch and chop and drop compost. So you've got the medicinal value, you've got the edible value, you've got it readily seeds, you've got the nematode assistance. So they're pretty much an
superstar.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move to the body.
Yeah, cool. And nasturtiums, you have edible flowers again as well, and the edible leaves. They sort of add a bit of spice to the flavour. They're a really good ground cover. They're a bee pollinator. I'm not sure exactly on what they do in terms of companion planting, other than, a lot of the companion planting core values is that you're creating different niches, different shapes, different sizes, heights, colours, smells, and that's confusing for all of the animals. They're hosting some sort of microbiology and some animals, so the more diversity that you have in the garden, the more resilience it's going to have. But these seeds that have grown after they're flowered, you can put them in vinegar, and it's called poor man's capers. And it's a really nice meal, and I'm not sure exactly on the medicinal value of this, but I think it would be quite good because it's the seed, it's the potency in the seed that comes from the flowers, which are also quite medicinal. Right.
You want to add anything to that, William?
That's pretty good.
How about you, Blake?
I think Camille covered it, yeah.
Any questions?
Is it like similar to a watercress? It tastes similar to a watercress. But the best nasturtium gardens I've ever seen have been growing under leaky water tanks.
Yep.
Where they've got the shade and they've almost got like a constantly waterlogged situation to grow in. I don't know why that is, but it is because they are watercressy in nature or something. I mean, they both got that peppery taste.
They do,
Yep.
yeah.
I don't know if it's a coincidence they both taste like that.
It would make sense, because the ones closer to the house that get more water definitely have pumped a lot more. But what we've done is, we use plants that are growing in our zone 1 that are sort of taking up space and need to be moved on, and we bring them out. And because these were, this orchard was pretty much, just the climax trees, what we've done is we've taken plants that want to be moved and we've put them around here just to create more life, to use up the water rather than the water just feeding this avocado. This is actually an avocado and a citrus planted in the same place. There's a couple of trees here. There's a gramachama and a cherimoya up there as well. So yeah, because the water's already here, to prevent it from evaporating or running down here, it's being used up by other plants. That's also adding the diversity to one little space. Yeah.
Filling the voids of a food forest. Like there's trees here, but there's still enough space to put your herbs and
letting the herb
other
layer.
veggies in. So it's just filling up the layers of the food forest.
Okay.
Have little all around garden edges.
Yeah. What do you got? An avocado seed.
There's still lots of people that use it and have no problems and get great health benefits.
Well, you know, I was living out on the Cozy River on the upper Cozy and broke this thumb. Comfrey. So what I did was I'd make a cast out of the termite mound and keep that so I can't be moving it. And then when I'd go to bed, I'd soak my hand, take the cast off, and pack it with comfrey. I healed it phenomenally fast. Comfrey is really important as a medicinal, and I'm sure if you punch it in on Tropical Database, or even people here could tell you more about it, the medicinal properties. In your manure teas, do you know specifically why we put this in our manure teas?
It would be high in silica, it would be high in potassium as well. When you actually just make the liquid out of it and you see it and you feel it and you connect with it, you feel the goodness in it, I guess.
So it's known as a nutrient miner. It digs its roots down and it draws the nutrients up from below and makes it available to the plant that you're putting it around as the companion. So it's what's happening below as much as what's happening above. And I find that what I normally do is just go around and pull all of these off, break it up if the weed tea isn't around, and I put it, you know, you get the ooze coming out, and I just put it around my other plants, dig it in under the soil like that, and a couple of days later I come back and all the leaves are up here as well. And so I could see it's releasing below in the root system as much as it is at the top, but its other name is called knit bone, and that's why.
Bone knit.
Yeah, so you have to be careful. Herbalists say that if you make a break and it's not realigned in the right spot, it heals so quickly that it could heal not wrong.
That's a good point. Yeah, I actually just met somebody that lives on Crow Road who's an ambulance driver, and he's agreed to be part of a course and show us how to set a bone properly.
Right.
Let's see, anything else about the comfrey? Oh, well, most of the medicinal properties are in the roots. So if you punch them in on www.tropicaldatabase, you'll get up all those medicinal properties. Just keep learning more and more about these kind of things so that you can stop going to the doctor, stop going to the naturopath and become self-empowered. I've healed everything from major nerve damage, broken bones, and third-degree burns by myself in the bush. And that makes me self-empowered, self-sufficient. I don't have to go to anyone else. And I encourage everyone to get your power back. Take it back away from those people. Those chemical people are responsible for a lot of damage, aren't they? To our bodies, to our earth, which is part of our body, you know? So we need to unplug from them and learn more and more about how we can take care of ourselves.
It's a really good point. I had my 91-year-old mother come back from the doctor's a couple of months ago and the doctor said to her, haven't we done a great job of keeping you so healthy? And I said, did you pick him up on that? Did you pull him up and say it's got nothing to do with you? That's so disempowering, and I was so taken back by that. And that's the sort of mentality that some of them take on, that it's their job to keep people happy and it's not someone else's, not the first individual's job.
Yeah.
This is one of the first plants that I would propagate and have available in the garden, especially in a food forest orchard system. You do kind of need to have it mounded up like this, because if it gets too wet in the wet season, it'll die back, but it'll come, you know, the root system will come back up in the dry season. But we've chosen plants that weren't doing particularly well because we didn't have a huge stock source. And we've planted them there, and then every so often we come along when it's developed enough and we pull off parts of the root and we replant into the next plant that we think could do with the help.
So on that point, that's one of the plants in your perennial bank. And we're going to show you some more.
It's very easy to propagate. Like you can just take a piece of root without any leaf growth or anything, about this long, an inch long, and that will grow a new plant straight from a piece of root.
Can you get me a piece? Because I need to plant it.
I've got some propagating in there for you.
Okay, cool.
Here watering this plant, and there was nothing else, so we've put, you know, 2 things that didn't cost us anything right there, and it's helping this person. And
I'll just add another bit about the usage. I've used a fair bit of it for spraying joints. So what I've done, I've learnt the hard way by getting the leaf, getting the roots, mashing it up in a mortar and pestle, making a nice slurry and putting it on the skin. It hardens up like a good poultice, but I guess maybe it's just me, I've got a bit sensitive skin, but I actually had a red welt rash that was super itchy for a day afterwards, just because it was just so potent from using the straight root and leaf. So what I've found out is adding some aloe vera to that mix, so it just helps it become less potent. Just as a poultice, and it dries like a bandage itself, just from its own.
Far out, that sounds great.
And then you have all the medicinal values of aloe vera, which is another superstar.
Which is one of our superstars.
Yeah.
They can also eat comfrey. They call it vegetarian fish, and you can make a nice batter and dip the leaves in batter, and it's wait till you try it. It's such an amazing.
Yeah, it's very similar to
And
borage.
very delicious.
Yeah, same with
But it
borage,
has to build up toxins, so
Yeah,
don't
don't
do
eat
it
it
every
every day.
It's better to eat the younger leaf, and it's quite high in protein like fish. And many years ago, they were giving it to racehorses to boost them along because it was a very high protein base.
Yeah.
And it's a really good compost starter.
Veterinary science for animals, and in particular horses, because they're very sensitive to chemicals, fertilizers and such, is better than what we get from doctors.
Billy, do you have